In 3, 2, 1, and go. G'day, Steel Nation. Welcome back to Steelers Nation Australia. I've got my headphones on. That means I have a special guest waiting in the black and gold room. I legit cannot remember the last time I talked to this bloke. Maybe this year. So we might have to go all the way back to the Falcons game and review that. But I will bring him in right now. What's going on, mate? How are you?
What is going on? What's going on?
I don't know when the last time I talked to you. I have no idea. I can't remember. It must have been. It must have been this season. You've been busy, mate.
Yeah.
You sound like a robot.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm just gonna wait for your internet to catch up. Is StreamYard still getting you? Yeah, you're there, back. You good now? Yeah, how you been?
Yeah, back here. Yeah, I don't know when the last time. Yeah, like busy, man. Like it. I think because I started off the season pretty much in America, so that like disjointed everything. And then I changed jobs in August, and I took a much busier job, and like that's been a struggle. So like, yeah, been working some crazy hours and all the rest of it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know the last time. I mean, you and I message each other, so it's a bit different. But yeah, I don't know when the last time we talked Steelers on a show. I can't remember.
I don't think it was this season, to be honest. I don't think so. I can't. Might have been before the season. Because you've been really busy, and I
might have been just before.
Yeah, you went the Chargers.
The same
game,
thing
right?
with Shannon. Yeah.
Shannon hasn't been on your channel either, has he, at the moment?
Nah, we've been struggling like between some stuff he's been having on personally, and me more, and yeah, I feel like this season went so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it went to me it was the fastest season in a long time.
Goes quick when you won and done the playoffs again.
Well, you want to get straight there? Let's go.
Yeah, we'll go straight there. So, obviously, it's been a few days now since the Steelers versus Ravens. I'm kind of like pretty much over. I just wish we beat the Ravens and sent them home, you know?
Yeah.
But what are your just thoughts about it? Because it's a tough game. They're a good side. We're healthier this time. I thought that this team, if any team, could have a chance to beat the Ravens or a wildcard team and just go one step further. But it looks like they're just not competitive. They just didn't want to play and they didn't turn up.
When you lose 5 in a row to close out a season where you were 10-3, it's not good. I mean, how many years have I been saying now, 3, that Terrell Austin is not worthy of being their defensive coordinator? And that was shit. Like,
what's the go with this? I was talking to Bubba and Shane and DB recently in the last few days. What's the go with the zone? I think that the one that sticks out to me was the 2nd and 20, where
yes, thank you very much. I got so shitty when that happened. I was like,
Dante Jackson was out of it, and the safety was out of it, and Minka didn't want to tackle. Nobody wanted to tackle. There was 3 guys around him, and the zone was like, if you're playing zone, and I'm not a football player, but you see your guy go past you, right? He runs past you. He should be behind you. Like when you turn around and play back to the man.
Yeah.
Like it feels like they're playing Madden zone when Madden's like they stuck in one area for like 5 seconds while Lamar Jackson runs around. And they're like, well, Lamar Jackson's on the very left side of the field, but I'm still on the right side because I'm meant to play my zone. But shouldn't you be moving around like Troy Polamalu or someone like that? Like I think it's really terrible. I think the 2nd and 20 was like, how do you make a 2nd and 20?
But hang on, how can you play? Like the thing about the zone is, we were told 2 years ago the Steelers were going to play man defense. Right? That's why they drafted Joey Porter, right? He was not going to be the good zone player. He was a man-to-man player because the zone didn't have that short speed quickness. That's why he didn't do the short speed drills at the combine, right? Then we heard about the drafting the bigger guys, and we're all on the avatars, and we're all going down this train, and this is Terrell Austin's defense, and he wants to play man. And 3 years down the line, we're having problems because we've got to play defense.
I just think it was frustrating.
Oh, what is that, man?
That was when they were coming back, and it'll give you a bit of hope. It was 28, I think 14, or maybe it was 21-7, something like that. Yeah. They were coming back anyway. It was a key point where they got the sack, and I was like, oh, goodness, 2nd and 20. Here we go. Put some more pressure on them. They pressured them the first time in that first play. We got the sack, and then it was like, then next minute is a 2nd and the receiver went right past them, and 3 blokes just did not want to tackle, did not want to hit anyone. And that's just, I
don't think they wanted to win that game. That's the thing that pissed me off is I agreed with what they were saying at halftime with the commentators. Like, it didn't feel like they wanted to win that game. It didn't feel like they wanted to win that football game. And I don't think, I'm going to say something controversial here, and I know you want to get to Tomlin. I don't think that's on Tomlin and the message. You either want to win that game or you don't. And I don't think there's enough competitors in that locker room, right? Ogunjobi hasn't been a competitor for 2 years.
I think he played really bad that game. I watched some of the highlights, and he's getting put. I don't know they're a good side. There was
lowlights, mate. You watched the lowlights.
They were getting pushed around, dude. Yeah, 100%.
Malu getting too old.
Yeah, he looked pretty a bit off as well. You know what that comes back to? It comes back to like the idea. Everyone wants to fire Tomlin, right? And I've got the graphic for it. Everybody wants to do this, and because it's 6 times in a row, fire Tomlin, right? But is this just not a good team? And we've been speaking about this for years now. Is it not just? It's not a good team. So Tomlin gets a bad team to the playoffs, and they get shit on.
But this is the point, right? Like, you are not going to win in the NFL without a franchise quarterback.
I reckon that's very true because you have Lamar Jackson, you have Josh Allen, you have Mahomes, and Stroud probably could be a guy soon.
Look at Matt Stafford. Look at Jaden Daniels, right? You know,
look at who was the other bloke that Sam Darnold did his best in the season, but he got sacked 9 times today.
If you don't have a franchise, now the immediate thing is people are going to say then, well, the Steelers lost to Jacksonville, you know, and Ben Roethlisberger and the Triple Bs, yeah. But that was the same year that Shazier went injured, and we had freaking John Bostich in the middle. They also they did terribly game plan that way. They were struggling at strong safety. Well, they were struggling at safety full stop back then. They was one cornerback short. They as much as we hyped the offense, the defense couldn't contain the offensive game plan that Jacksonville threw up that day. And the Steelers lost that match as well. And the Steelers lost in overtime. Right, it's not like you lost in regular; you lost in overtime, and you lost with onside kick and all that rubbish, right? But they had to do the onside kick because the defense couldn't stop their offense. So, is that on Mike Tomlin and the offense, or is that on because he had the quarterback, or is that on the defense, right? And the defense, they lost the linchpin in the middle. Like, when did Shazier go down? Was it week 14? Week 13
like 15, or yeah.
He couldn't. They couldn't replace him through trades and pickups and other guys and all that rest of it, right? So I take 2017 as a separate situation because I think it is very different to what we've seen in the playoffs since then. Now the playoffs since then, let's face it. Like after that, Ben came back, for a year. Then Ben's injured for 2019. Ben's never the same again. There's something over the wide receivers. They don't have the O-line because remember the O-line guys, like we lost Pouncey, we lost Castro really quickly. Villanueva went out, like we lost starting O-line. And then you've got to replace them. Now you look at the O-line this year. We're meant to be ground and pound. Fatanu doesn't play a game.
Yeah.
James Daniels is basically, did he get injured right before the season?
He got injured about week three or something like that. Out.
Right. So he's out. You got a rookie center. You got a Broderick Jones who doesn't know which he keeps
I saw a play that they both went different sides, and I saw another play where he is just doesn't know how to play right tackle. It's very concerning.
He doesn't know how to play right,
or even I don't know. It's very concerning. Very lazy.
You've got Dan Moore. You got Dan Moore who on a good day is an average left tackle. On a bad day is the worst.
Week 7, week 8, it was going up. Or week 9 and then 10, we're winning, and then it just crashed. And
if you don't have the O-line, how are you gonna win football games? Because you're gonna go backward.
Well, that's what I'm saying with the Mike Tomlin thing with the fire.
Should they have ever been 10-3? Without Mike Tomlin, you're not 10-3. And that's the thing that I don't get about this whole season, even with the 4 losses. As fans, we all went double-digit wins because we went on the homer train.
The media,
but everyone else said this would be Mike Tomlin's first losing season.
Yep.
And they went 10-3.
So he's almost damned as you do and damned if you don't. Because
correct. If he'd had a losing record, everyone would have wanted to punt him, right? But instead, they get to 10-3. They play the 3 of the top 5 teams in the NFL in 11 days with George Pickens, their only wide receiver, injured. They've got like a wide receiver 2, and everyone else is a wide receiver 4. And then they wonder why they lose. The O-line's getting banged up. They're playing 3 games in 11 days against, as I say, 3 of the best 5 teams in the NFL. And then you're sitting there going, it was a failure of a season. Really?
Dude, you're talking too much sense. You're talking way too much sense because I'll even carry on with that. In the same time as well with the defense, right? Defense weren't communicating. they didn't really figure out the slot corner position. They played Cameron Sutton when I don't think he should have been in. Maybe they should just put Beanie Bishop out there the whole time or did some kind of package with him. Then
and you know what? Who said that? Chuck Pagano said that after they dropped the first game on Pat McAfee's show. He said, "I don't know why you're playing that number 20. He don't do." He basically said he don't do nothing. They're like play the beanie kid. You know, Chuck Pagano.
Yeah, I'm even saying that. And also, too, I think Dante Jackson, he did all right doing certain parts, but then he got injured. JPJ, I think sometimes he can switch on and switch off depending what schemes they're playing with man and stuff like that. I think Elliott was one of the best ones out there, but he must be thinking, holy fuck, how much can I tackle? How many people I need to fucking hit around this place?
He is the best defensive, apart from Peyton Wilson being a draft pick. I think he was the best performing defensive acquisition they brought in this year was Deshaun Elliott. And remember when they got him, I said to you, he's the king.
How can he do it all himself, though, in terms of tackling and running down and trying to motivate?
But why does Minka playing from who should be a deeper safety? Why is he making tackles at the line of scrimmage on Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, that was
got Patrick Queen. Like, what's going on there? Like,
it's interesting how they've played because I know that most of the offenses didn't really pass the ball deep on Minka, and they normally had Kazi back there too. But even in this game versus the Ravens,
hopeless. He's got to go. If I see Kazi,
I think there's a few guys on the string that will go. But even with the Lamar Jackson thing, they were crashing down on Jackson, not taking away the running back, or vice versa. Taking away the running back, and then Lamar Jackson was running around crazy. This defense is overly confused and does come back to Terrell Lawson, I think, and I think he might be under the pump, but it depends if Rooney's going to kick him or not because he's like on a 1-year contract or something. And then people say to me right now at 11:43, they're like, "Oh, Tomlin." I agree, Tomlin does deserve criticism as well, but at the same time, getting these players to the playoff, like you just said, maybe these players aren't the best, and we're just getting there, then getting pumped by the powerhouse teams. I listened to a podcast on. I don't know which one you tweeted out one time, Matt Williamson or Dale Lolly. Which one you tweeted out one time?
Was it Dale Lolly? Yeah, Well, the one where he had the argument about James.
I listened to those two blokes on the Steelers Live because it's a good 2-hour podcast, right? And they did say right now the powerhouses are Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, and you've got to get past all those guys with a fantastic quarterback. Now Wilson, I think he tried his best, but the O-line struggles, all those kind of things are very, very tough. So when it comes back to the fire Mike Tomlin thing, and it's the people have all right to say it now. People are very emotional about it, and I get it. It's been 6 years, 8 years, whatever it is. We haven't won one. Tomlin's going to be fine. But with the crew that he had last year with Rudolph wasn't going to win, and probably Bills. This game was very tough versing the Ravens, and we should have maybe matched up better against them. But at the same time, there's not the same powerhouse players we have.
If I'm in the Mike Tomlin crowd, one, there's a simple answer of who you're going to replace him with, and someone in your comments is going to say anyone's better than Tomlin, right? But that's
not a good answer though. That's a cheap answer.
But you tell me another coach in this league that would be able to almost make the playoffs with Devlin Duck Hodges.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, almost. Yeah,
not even Bill Belichick with that roster the Steelers had. Not even Bill Belichick would have.
They're saying Ben Johnson from the Lions, but all I hear is that.
But why would he come? That's what Dan Orlovsky said this week. I actually agree with outside of the end zone Orlovsky. He went. he was
his middle name right there.
He was like, why would Ben Johnson come to the Steelers? What's he got to do with?
I like it when
the quarterback.
Steelers fans say that, and they're just passing on a certain topic that someone else just said. I don't even know where Ben Johnson is from. He's from the Lions, but I don't know what his background is. All I know is the Lions are doing really well in that system, and they go, "We want an offensive coach. We want Ben Johnson," and that's it. I don't know. There's nothing else behind that. I think it's just a talking point, you know. So it's like to me.
Also with Ben Johnson, like what quarterback are we going to get that's going to do what Jared Goff does? What O-line are we going to get? Look at their O-line.
O-line's fun, bro. Their O-line's fun. They're a good team to watch. They're very physical.
They've got three legit wide receivers with Jamison Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Who's the other bloke?
So fun.
They got the best tight end
and another bloke over there. Tight end as well, Laporta. I got him in my fantasy. They got the running back, Jamar Gibbs. They've definitely built around their team, and they got a lot of, they coach very well too. I must admit that. But
Dan Campbell's a great coach.
Yeah, but I think people fire Tomlin, bring in Ben Johnson. It's like give me more than that. Give me a reason why you want to bring him over. Is there a connection towards Pittsburgh? Does his family live here? Would his offense fit us? What kind
if
of
you're
players
bringing
do we
Ben
get?
Johnson, if you're bringing Ben Johnson this year, then you have to trade up in the draft and grab a quarterback, right? So you're going to have to sell the farm, which people might say you can do that with TJ and whatever. But do you really want all the drama with Shadur Sanders? I don't. Cam Ward? I mean, everyone
I've been
thought he
hearing
was
it's a bad class, kind of.
It's a bad class. So, like, in that sense, and I'm a Texas fan. Quinn Ewers is Kenny Pickett 2.0, right? With probably a lesser velocity arm, but can run the football better and probably makes a slightly quicker decision than Kenny Pickett. So if you look at that, we don't have a choice but to keep Mike Tomlin. Even if you want to fire him, what do you want to do? Right?
Because they came out, or Jerry Dulac came out really fast and gave information that was passed, and we all kind of knew it anyway.
Yeah.
And they want to fire him. They would have fired him already by now. And they're going to go with Tomlin for the next 3 years. And
Arthur Smith's got to go. Arthur Smith's got to go.
You reckon he's gone? You don't think he's safe?
Why?
Because he's got 1 more year and 2 years in his contract. I don't think he did that.
But
bad
what has he done?
Well, I guess I'm comparing to Canada because Canada, I think, was awful in that sense.
I think there's a different urgency now, right? The only thing that might keep Arthur Smith in the job, although if they keep Arthur Smith, then they have to re-sign Najee because he's going to need a big running back alongside Warren. If the only thing that might make Arthur Smith safe is that other people want him. So again, the Steelers, they'll get compensation there. But 2, the other piece will be is that the Steelers might not want to fire the OC and the DC in the same year. But Terrell Austin's gone. But I reckon we'll know that by the weekend.
Do you know his contract though? I'm just trying to think what the
Arthur Smith's on 3 years. Arthur Smith's on 3 years.
What's the other bloke Austin on though?
Terrell Austin was on a 2-year deal.
Do you think the Roonies are going to do that?
Yeah, he's gone.
When will we know? I don't understand.
I reckon we'll know Austin within the week. Because
Mike Tomlin has a press conference. I put this out tomorrow. It'll be press conference today on the Tuesday in America.
Yeah. Terrell Austin will be gone.
Wednesday.
Terrell Austin will be gone.
So they almost need an scapegoat to a certain sense to improve.
Someone's got to be unfortunately I don't want to use that analogy, but someone's got to be the fall guy anyway, right?
Well, the thing is, because the Roonies, right, they're not going to get rid of a coach who does get in the playoffs and he's successful getting there. And yes, we know.
Why would you also get rid of someone? There's all this trade rumor. Why are you going to get rid of someone in case someone trades for him? I don't think any of that's. I think that's all baloney.
There's no trade clause, but they're saying that if Tomlin says yes, they can trade him to somewhere else. Why would Tomlin want to leave? He wouldn't want to go to another club.
If I were Tomlin though, and he loves football, but if I were Tomlin, I'd go, nah, Steelers, you can pay me out, have a year off because he's got kids in college and stuff, and he's really keen about his daughter's gymnastics and stuff. The guy's grind since he basically left college. I'd have a year off, enjoy some of my money, I got my payout, and wait to see where the chips fall for a year. Which
what Bill Belichick's doing or whatever. Is he still out of a job? No,
he got hired by the University of North
Carolina.
He went
because that's because he's dating the girl was 21. That was the influence.
Well, and now he's hired his son there as well as the defensive coordinator.
But you're saying he did something similar, right? He took time.
Yeah, took time for a year, step back, wait for a job, wait for the ultimate job to become available. What if the Falcons, for example, next year the coaching and he likes the guy over there, as Raheem Morris? Yeah. But what if Penix is looking good, but they're deep, they've got it meant to have a good defense, it doesn't perform. Maybe he's in Atlanta, right? If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm taking a year off at this. I'm having
What are the odds that Mike Tomlin comes out today and just says, fuck you, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, you losers. I'm out. Screw you. I'd love that.
And then, this is a good argument. This is a good discussion for the Fire Mike Tomlin crowd. Then who do we get?
I don't know, because they want someone fresh. They'd rather some of them just want to go 3-14.
But if you're fresh, but if you get someone fresh, who's the quarterback, right?
Whole new start.
Right. We're going 2-15 next year if you do that.
Yeah, I think you want to bring in,
and then you're hoping in 2026.
Here's one for you.
Yeah.
Would they? I know a little bit about Grady Brown, the secondary guy. Would they make him DC, or that wouldn't happen?
No. They need someone.
They need someone to come in and go, hey, it's my job. Let's DC.
And look, I've heard a lot of rumors about getting Brian Flores back, right? If I were them, I'd be saying that. I'd be punting Austin, going to
Well, they
Brian
got done
Flores,
today, the Vikings.
right?
So
So I'd be saying Brian Flores, come back, and when Tomlin's deal's up,
that's what I was thinking too.
If we're not in the AFC Championship game, you get to take over.
Yeah, because what would happen is Flores would come back as DC, because when we had him as the assistant, things were moving fine, and we blitz numbers were up, and we had all these sacks and actually playing.
And he's a linebacker coach. He knows how to coach these linebackers. And I listened to the Locked On today on the way home from work while I was doing some emails on my train, and like they covered a really good point. Like TJ's had a crap end of the season, but they don't move TJ around enough. Like they don't. It's easy to game plan for TJ because there's no because we've got a defensive back-led DC. Mike Tomlin was a defensive back DC. We don't need that. We need someone that gets up front and ruins them from the front, not ruins them from the back.
You need someone in the front seven.
Correct. That's Pittsburgh Steelers football. Not trying to win with like press man coverage, and you don't have the players for press man coverage, so don't do it. Stupid.
It's interesting because I heard that same thing as well on one of the radio shows. Was they need someone with a front seven, that kind of degree, that kind of mentality, move things around. But they were to get rid of. I don't know if Flores will leave Vikings because they're now out of the hunt. I don't know his contract, but that would be he's on
a 2-year deal. I think he's on a 2-year deal.
But that to me would be like in fantasy land. It'd be great to do. You'd hire him back as DC. Tomlin would leave in 2027 and he'd take over as head coach, something like that. That's what you need in any case. Whatever coach comes into OC, I don't think Arthur Smith will be head coach, but OC or DC.
But you know the thing that I fear, the only thing I fear with that is I kind of want the next coach, as much as I love defense,
to be OC.
Yeah, like
the show back in the 2001. When Ryan and Melissa were fighting all the time, you just thought, just get over it, mate. Just both of you just hug it out and finally. It took like about 2 seasons for them to get together. Then the other bloke was cheating on that. The guy had a really nice wife at home, then he was just cheating on everyone. Did you remember that? Do I know too much about it or not? And then Ryan thought he was really big and tough. He was out there fighting everyone too. The new kid comes in town, he's fighting everyone. It's like, man, chill down, Ryan. You just got to the OC.
That's it.
Sorry about my OC rant, but I know a little bit about it.
But yeah, I just think they need a new philosophy. But one of the things that we criticized last year when they brought back Terrell Austin and when they brought in Arthur Smith was hiring coordinators that are like a yes men, not no men. And Tomlin needs an offensive coordinator that's going to go, sorry, this is let me do this and let me do it properly, right?
So what Bruce Arians was, right?
Yeah, I mean, but Bruce Arians was going to get freaking Ben killed.
But anyone who wears a hat like that doesn't get told what to do, I don't think. In a little thing. So
I just think they've got to figure. I think they've got to figure that part out.
Well, there's changes, and obviously Rooney's not going to change it to Mike Tomlin. So now we're all thinking, what change is going to happen?
But the problem's going to be this. I'll tell you, this is where a problem is. Mike Tomlin's on a 3-year deal, right? This is where the Steelers are effed. To be honest, this is where they got a big problem this year. Mike Tomlin, Kenny Pickett sucked. That experiment didn't work, right? Mike Tomlin said around that time, since then, I didn't really love work. Like he sort of said, he basically said enough for us to know that his preference was not to work with a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers' path out of the quarterback hell, there's too many far-fetched things in the league. The Steelers have to draft their way out of quarterback hell, and it ain't happening this year. And next year, Arch is probably a year too early for Archie Manning. Then they're probably there'll be all the narrative of Drew Aylar out of Penn State in the same year that the Steelers have the draft in Pittsburgh, right? I don't want them to be forcing a pick to be forced down their throat. Carson Beck will have had a year at Miami, but I don't think he's going to be much in the NFL. We got a bit of a problem here, right? So you need to make yourself the most attractive to a veteran quarterback, and that ain't firing Mike Tomlin because the older guys want to work with Mike Tomlin. So, but the Steelers are in a bit of a pickle here, man.
Here's the question then: what do they? Because I feel like they're going to go with Fields, but I don't know if they're going to bring back Wilson, Fields, or both. What do they do?
I still don't get the Fields train. Fields got them to 4-2. He played terrible in that Colts game. He played average in that Chargers game that I went to. Like, he was just like, that was not good. It was like, put in Russ.
He runs well though.
Yeah, but that's right, because he misses the first 3 reads because he's too busy ready to run it. Like, if he was the answer, he wouldn't have lost the job to Russ. And when Russ started losing down the stretch, we would have seen more of it, especially this last weekend against the Ravens. At halftime, when you were down that much, you had to do something different. Your run game, you had like 20 yards running in the first half. You had like 9 in the second half or whatever it was. That's when you bring in Justin Fields. And even then, when they did bring him in, there was one of the pass plays. He was 20 yards backwards. Now, I get the O-line didn't block well enough. But even the pass that he tried to throw it out, it almost ended up in the field of play. And that like there was 3 Ravens around the football. So
yeah,
I don't know how Fields is the answer. I don't think
they're equipped to run this sideshow of a quarterback while having a main quarterback. And then the old saying is you got 2 quarterbacks, you haven't got 1. So I just don't know what's going to happen exactly. If they bring back Russ, I'm okay with they do. I thought he had a pretty good season. Not the best, like maybe a 51% out of 100. I thought he went okay, but the O-line needs to be better, and the O-line needs to block better. I don't think they give him a bit of a chance. And also, we do need some pass catchers too. Can't just rely on Pickens or Freiermuth. And Freiermuth, to me, needs to be a bit more gritty and a bit more physical in certain parts. Yeah. But I don't know what they're going to do, dude. If they're going to bring back Wilson, or they sign Fields to a 3-year contract and then they ride that out. Like,
but how much are you willing to pay Fields?
I don't know. We didn't really do too much this year. So do you pay him like a minimum, like, a rookie contract? Or not, a small contract? I seriously don't know. They could run it back again, play the same year out, get some better pieces, and play Wilson. Really?
Oh, I think they're more likely to bring back Russ than they are to keep Fields, because I think someone will offer Fields $15+ million a year,
like the Raiders or the Giants or whatever, something like that. Yeah, it's because
if you think you're the Raiders and where you're picking, or you think you're the Giants and where you're picking, you go get Fields and then you can pick Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders, right? And then or Tennessee, and then you can let Fields kick off the year for the first 6 to 8 games, and then you drop in one of those blokes. Like,
you think that they let Fields walk? They sign Wilson, they sign Kyle Allen to 3rd, and they get a quarterback in the draft late rounds.
They're going to have to draft someone because, they've got 3 quarterbacks off contract, and it's going to be too expensive. I mean, Kyle Allen might want to come back, but what is that? That doesn't do really much for you.
Well, it's just a bloke that's a third quarterback. Like, he didn't really have a chance to show who he is, but obviously the coaching staff and the NFL thinks he's a 3rd quarterback. Nothing too crazy.
But also, the Chiefs think that Oladokun is their 2nd quarterback, and he doesn't play that badly when he plays for them. And we drafted him in the 7th round, and we punted him. Explain that.
He's a 2-time champion, Matty. 2-time Super Bowl champion. Yeah, he always. I've got him on Instagram. He always promotes himself.
I had to take him off. I got sick of it. I'm like, mate, you don't do anything. Fuck off.
You can't claim that if you're a practice squad guy and you didn't see the field in both either time snaps at all, none, 0. In that run, 0, and you're still wearing the ring, I don't think you can count that. You got a better chance of Lunch Lady Doris having a ring the same as you. Like,
you know what? It could well be Russell Wilson and Daniel Jones in Pittsburgh.
I didn't think about Daniel Jones. Would he? Because he's like on another team somewhere. He's on the Vikings.
Yeah.
I think for maybe a 1
But they've got JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy's the dude for them next year.
Would you entertain the idea of bringing Sam Darnold over here? He had a shit end of the season. You give him a small contract. No, I don't know the numbers that should fit, but a smaller contract to bring him in.
Why would he want to come to Pittsburgh? He had better wide receivers at the Vikings.
But would not the Vikings not go with JJ McCarthy next year?
They are, right? But my point being is that if you're Darnold, and let's say the Tennessee job is available because they're going to probably draft someone. I think Mason Rudolph's got another year on that contract. But there's so many teams, like the Browns need a quarterback as well because Deshaun Watson's done.
He's now injured next year too, so he's
going to miss all of 2025. The rumor.
Yeah, they got to find someone as well.
I think Steeler fans, we've got to be realistic. You can fire Tomlin all you like, but that's going to make life harder to get a quarterback. And number 2, what quarterback wants to come here?
no coach.
And secondly, someone goes, well, you can just pay them more. Okay, you can pay them more, but then you're shooting yourself in the foot over the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know what the plan would be if you were to fire Tomlin, and they're not going to, but they say they got their wish tomorrow. And what coach would you get? And do they work well with Omar Khan? Then what's your philosophy and the next point, right?
You bring up a good name. Omar Khan must be a little bit worried at the moment because his tenure as GM is going to be forever tied to Mike Tomlin. And if the next 3 or 4 years don't go well, or the next 2 seasons at least, and by go well, I mean, at this point, this team, an over 500 record for the team that we saw finish this season with the amount of change they're going to have. Like next year, they probably, I think the Steelers with Mike Tomlin will stay over 500, but they're probably at max a 6-win ceiling.
And you hope they'd be better or better. I think they
No, I think they'll be worse with the guys that are coming off, with all the unknowns, with all the rest of it. Like I would expect the team, if you're looking at it today, this team should be worse. It depends how well they come together, how well they draft. Right?
Yeah,
depends
I think there's a big collapse. So I think they, from the 4-game skid, they just seem like they fell apart on all facets. From
correct
fighting in the locker room to just not checked in. They're playing tough and they're playing physical out there to some extent. But
this is my point. So who wants to come into this though?
Oh no one really. Why would you want to come?
Right. Exactly.
TJ said he wanted to fix it. He wanted to be part of the problem. He's not going to go anywhere and not be traded. Cameron Hayward.
I think you got to move Highsmith. Remember, I said that.
You've been saying that for years, or the year or so.
Yeah,
I remember.
Why would you keep paying that money on Highsmith? That's money you can pay a wide receiver. Move.
Yeah.
Buy.
The thing is too, like I think Cameron Hayward kind of knows his years are coming up, and there's not going in the right direction with certain personnel too. Because I think he sounded pretty down coming off the field after the loss, and he has never had that success, the playoff success, right?
So you could trade him.
I don't think he'd go anywhere though. He could
win a Super Bowl. To win a Super Bowl.
That's another point too. Would they blow everything up? Like trade away Minka, Cam, TJ. My mate Derek wants TJ on the lines. He wants to give us a 2 firsts and a second or something like that. Would you trade?
I don't think TJ wants to play defensive end. And don't they? Are they still playing a 4-3 or are they playing 3-4 now?
Yeah, because Derek called him a DE when he was playing.
Yeah, no. He doesn't want to play. TJ's kind of admitted that before. He doesn't want to play a 4-3. And he talks a lot about 3-4 versus 4-3. But in terms of Minka, mate, I would have said no every other year, and I think he's done. I'm the first one to say you had to make all those tackles. But, that's a lot of money that you could be paying a top corner.
Yeah. But they almost seem like all this talent, all these individual players, and even the guys I was listening to on the Steelers live radio, they were talking about they're just winning one-on-one matchups, and there's no, schematic, creative game plan. It's just like, TJ will get his guy, he'll win his one-on-one matchup, get to the quarterback. Or JBJ will take his man down.
There was some stat I heard in the last week or so after the Ravens game where it was of games where Patrick Queen has rushed the quarterback 6 times, the Steelers have had this many sacks and performed this well on defense. So why the F aren't you rushing him when you got a guy as quick as Peyton Wilson that spent the preseason lining up at dime linebacker? The guy can play the coverage linebacker. The guy's super fast. I don't understand.
There was the flu going around. I think I caught the flu when I was in Pittsburgh as well, because there was a flu going around. Cameron Hayward had it, Chris Boswell had it, and there was a reporting now Queen had the flu too. Not saying that's an excuse, but you do feel a bit down after that. But there are certain times.
6 times.
There are certain times the scheme or defensive, creative.
Can you explain this to me? This is going back to offense. Explain this one to me. I said this to my wife, I think, during the game the other day. I said, I can't understand when Najee gets a ball on a short pass, he runs into space, right? He runs into gaps. When Raji gets the ball on a handoff, he runs into people and runs into his own players most of the time. Explain to me that. How can you have the vision to run into space when you get a short pass, but when you get the ball on a handoff, you run up the bum of your own bloke? I don't understand it. It's like he's a magnet. It's like when he's in the run game, he's like the opposite magnets, like north and south. He gets joined to the person.
Yeah, the vision really isn't there. Even though I think Najee could be walking to another team,
Bye. See you later.
Yeah, I think
because we don't have the O line for Najee. The O line for Najee that he had at Alabama that made him good would like block, create a hole. He could like kind of glide through it, easy as pie. But this Steeler O line is just not. That's not their game. Even if they were like played better than what they do, that's just not their style of game. It's just not.
I thought they were playing okay. They're 10-3, moving on, and
but that's not. Remember, I've said for 2 years they're built for a Jaylen Warren who can hit a small hole quickly. They're not built to sort of hold the guy up for ages and then let Najee punch through. Yeah,
there was one run against the Ravens where he dead set ran into fucking Zach Frazier or Ciamalo, and he bounced off and he ran again.
Exactly, and he went back.
Like, how do you not see the certain holes opening up?
And the thing that I'm critical about Arthur Smith over is I think there was probably only one game this season where I felt he managed to get the mix right between Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris. I think too many games there was like Jaylen Warren's running really, really well, but you're giving Najee the ball the whole time, or you're giving Jaylen Warren the ball, but you're not actually setting him up for the right runs.
Like he's got to do this power run. They used him in the passing game. They got I think 5 or 6 catches each. They were just checked down. That might have been the Bengals game.
Yeah.
I think.
No, but there was a game where they just ran the football. I'm trying to think of which game it was really, really well. Probably was the first Bengals game.
I feel like because in one of the games they were using
the Commanders game. It might have been the Commanders game that they But anyway, my point being is that like Arthur Smith's meant to be this guy that got Derrick Henry working and all the rest of it.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But I mean, you could argue the same thing that I've been saying though with the O-line. He didn't have his O-line, but I don't care because they had 2 good running backs, and I still don't think he game planned for them right, even when they had a fit side in the first few weeks of the season. So what's the point?
The Bengals game I was talking about was Najee got 6 catches, 54 yards. Warren got 4 catches, 55. That was a check down game when it was like they were taking what the defense gave them, and that wasn't the running game. But still, they were used well enough. And like to your point, Najee can see that, catches the ball, boom, move around and go forward. But for some reason, they just can't find space or the correct hole to be open. I think, to be honest, some of the team's going to go out there and give him money. And I feel like the Steelers won't. They'll be like, oh, you go have a look first and we might give you a contract. I don't think they're going to give him a contract. I think he's done. I think they'll try and sign Warren back. They'll sign Warren back to a contract, go to the draft.
I thought Warren had one more year.
No, I think he's a undrafted.
Is he off? I'm
sorry. His contract is restricted free agent or something like that.
Yeah. So they can tender him an offer, so it's cheaper.
Yeah, I think he'll be signed, be the number 2 again, and they'll go and sign, maybe get a rookie, or they'll go and get a guy somewhere. Yeah. I think Najee, maybe similar to the Fire Tomlin fans, Najee needs a new football team, and we need a new running back, I think.
But you know what? I don't like just spitting out Texas players. But actually, like Jaden Blue, who just declared for the draft, I was surprised. I thought he'd do another year at Texas. He could be a good backup to it. He could be a good backup.
I just want to see a back like we have with Bell, or like a back that the Lions have with Gibbs.
That's what Jaden Blue's like. He's more of a faster guy.
Just kill it. Like
that's Jaden Blue, man. That's Jaden Blue. That's Jaden Blue, straight up.
But there's no speed. Like I love Najee, the way he played. I think it was a good Steeler. It was fun to watch, and he's physical sometimes. But there was no speed. There's no speed to his game. And I think that's the overall frustrating part. Is like Najee can carry 6 people on his shoulders one time, and then the next 3 plays he's in the backfield.
But tell me the last time he carried 6 people on his shoulders.
No, it would have been when they were around 10 and around the 10-3 mark.
Even then. I can't there's been a few highlight reel runs from Najee this season, but not enough to be paid like 10.
He got 10 and he got 1,000 yards again, but that's because he does run the ball. He carries the ball a lot.
Yeah, but his average is rubbish.
Yeah, it's like 3.7 or something like that.
And I just cycle back. Remember all the shows we did when they didn't give him the tag? Remember I said they wouldn't give him the tag and everyone went nuts and I'm an idiot and all the rest of it? Like, look at it. Well,
I just think there's a different direction there, but there's so many questions, and the one we know right now is they're not going to fire Tomlin. So I know people want to keep saying that, but you're wasting your breath. Now we got to, if you want to, this is a team building. This is what you love to do. I'm starting to get a little bit into it. Like this is the part where if Tomlin's your guy, now you got a team build from down that, right?
Yep.
But fans are just stuck on this. It's not going to happen. So move past that part. Will you get which offensive coordinators you bring back with DC? Then what personnel do you bring back?
Can I ask a question? Like, I got a question out there, which you and I can't really answer for the Mike Tomlin crowd. If he'd won a playoff game, well, let's say they've beaten the Ravens, right? And then get their ass handed to them next week against I think they would have had to play the Bills. Fire Tomlin! The same answer, Fire Tomlin!
It wouldn't matter. Because we didn't win the Super Bowl. We didn't win the Super Bowl with.
But we can't win a Super Bowl because we don't have a franchise quarterback.
Well, the team. If you take away your black and gold glasses, there's not the best team. And I know there is.
Think about this too. I agree with you where you're going. But think about this for perspective. We have to draft our way out of this in all likelihood, right? Unless someone has some terrible instance, a really good quarterback has some shit relationship with their coach and a ball club, and something happens, right? So we got to draft our way out of this. But how negative were we on Kenny Pickett, right? There's always someone to blame in Pittsburgh, right? There's always someone that's the idiot that's terrible, right? So even if we go and draft a guy, it's going to be the worst pick ever. Like when we picked Mason Rudolph. Oh, why would we pick this guy? This guy's whatever. Like
the same with when they said, why would you pick Terrell Evans? And he was pretty good for us.
He was actually a decent. Actually, he actually met the standard of a first round safety in terms of production throughout his time in Pittsburgh through the first rookie contract that he had, plus the extra bit. So I just think, or the fifth year, I should say. My point being, what I wanted to make though was that, like, even when we draft a quarterback, I think the amount of fire Tomlin crown, I get it, but a certain portion of that crowd, when we draft that rookie quarterback, is got to be prepared for some mistakes for a couple of years for us to find the bloke, because we don't find the bloke, and that's like I don't think we got the patience there to find the bloke, and that's what worries me, is that, like, this isn't a quick fix.
No,
right?
No,
like between Bradshaw and Ben being drafted was like what do we call that? Like 20. How many years was that? 20, call it 20 plus years, 30 years, 20 plus years, right? So, yeah, 20 because they drafted him on 03. So, yeah, you're talking.
That's why it's funny with
29 years, 28 seasons or whatever it was between Bradshaw and Ben being drafted. Like, I'm not saying it should take that long, but
no,
it might take some seasons.
I get that everyone's frustrated and we haven't won a playoff game in 8 years and this and this. But then it comes down to, you're like you've been saying, if we were to fire Tomlin, and then who's going to come here? Who are we going to draft? What are the personnel choices we make? And what's the overall theme? You know, what happens next, kind of thing. And then they just want to go fire Tomlin. The next coach comes in, or we're going to go win a Super Bowl. And I've said this. If that happens, I will say that coach won with Tomlin's players. I will say it till I'm dead, because that's all they say about the Coach Cowher's players. And if they were to hire Ben Johnson as the next coach in 2025, and Ben Johnson, if you do take us to Super Bowl and win, I will say they were Tomlin's players every time.
You can't. It's not possible. It is not even if you got Ben Johnson today, it is not possible to win the Super Bowl with this team next year. Impossible.
Clip that.
It's not. It's actually not feasible. No, but think about it like this. Even if you get a quarter, like, let's say, here's a good example. I mean, because someone will just go that's this person's crap. So let's say you brought in like Tua, right? Or you let's say you even brought in Jaden Daniels, right? The O-line next year right now is Broderick Jones at right tackle, right?
And he's got to get better. He's got to do something.
Fatanu at right guard, if you're being serious, not right tackle.
You want him right guard?
He's a guard in the NFL. I'm sick of this rubbish. Frazier at center.
He's been a highlight.
McCormick at left guard. And then you've got to either find a veteran, but probably draft a left tackle. So you've got a bunch of first year or second year. And even if you move Broderick to left, you still got to do the same thing with the right. So you've got two rookies, right? And you've got, because Fatano will count as a rookie. So you've got 2 rookies and 3 second-year guys defending, which Russell Wilson or Fields or whoever you've got in there. This team is going to have challenges next year again. Now, the good news is that in 2026, 3 years in, that is a cheap O-line that could be a very, very good O-line. But next year is going to suck, right? Even if they get to 500, next year is going to be painful. So if you want to fire Mike Tomlin, you can have a 2-15 win, and you can think that's going to get me closer up the board. But the quarterbacks are no sure thing in 2026. I'm just saying, people got to buckle in. The next 2 years is going to be shit.
Yeah, I think overall, like obviously
they're not winning the Super Bowl. They're not winning the Super Bowl in the next 2 years, no matter who you bring in. Good luck.
But the overall, the collapse did hurt and it sucked, right? But we just don't have, I think, some of the top-notch players in the NFL. We just have a bunch of guys like that. I thought Austin played well in Spurs. Although the move did well, Darnell did okay. But there's this sometimes the scheme is not the best and the team isn't ready. And
what does Darnell really do? We had all that hype in the preseason.
Well, they don't use him enough, but they do use him in blocking. But then the other team kind of knows they're going to be hitting and stuff like that. But what I'm saying is
trying to do all the work, and there was points in that game. Like Muth should be bowling blokes over. Like that number to get that first down. Like I'm sorry,
that's crazy to me. Yeah, you got to do something extra. It's easy to complain after and say.
But you also look at the defense, right? They know it's going to move. If they scheme Pickens out, and we never see the Steelers scheme a wide receiver out. It's just how good does Joey Porter cover them, which shits me, right? That's why Terrell Austin. Fuck off, pardon my language, right? But when the Steelers have got the ball, it's scheme Pickens out, and then it's like throw 3 blokes on Frymouth because the Steelers are only going to throw it short, and then he's not going to be able to get the first down. And we saw it early on the season. We saw it in the Ravens game where they beat the Steelers, and we saw it in the Ravens game in the playoffs as well, not in the regular season. It's too easy to figure out.
Yeah,
it's too easy.
I thought there was some good plays where you just like holy French toast. Wilson threw that ball to Austin and this ball.
Well, where was that in the first half?
Yeah, but I mean, like overall in the season, there were some nice moments in the season where like kind of.
Oh, there were. I'm not going to say it was a crap year.
But then I think it just overall, when it comes down to you were running the ball first down and just maybe it was a bit too safe and conservative, all those kind of things. But it comes down to like, look, they were talking about receiver 2 all year, and yes, we didn't have the receiving core. All you had was Pickens and getting the ball to Austin, and the other guys did their best, but it just wasn't something like you'd see in a professional offense, right? Like the Vikings have, or the Rams have, or the Bengals have with T. Higgins and all those dudes. It just, I think you are right. It's going to be very challenging over the next few years. I think the fan base are giving the Steelers, they're trying to win a Super Bowl every single year. And right now, the window really isn't open to me. And you hit the nail on the head. You said Mike Tomlin beats the Ravens. We love it. If they go and lose to the Chiefs, they hate him again. So, and then
what if he lost to the Super Bowl? Oh, they shouldn't have had him. They should have had someone else. This team could have won a Super Bowl if Mike Tomlin wasn't the coach.
Well, is this team really, at this point in time, and we want to cheer them on, we're always hopeful, is this team really built to go on a run like the Chiefs are or the Ravens are or, right now the Lions are, right? No, not really. They're just playing good enough to get to the playoffs, have a chance, and they obviously verse a juggernaut that is the Ravens, and they just had a great game plan and killed us inside their house. Would have been different if we played Texans, possibly, but that's how football works out. And we scored the most points in the wild card for the other teams to get blown out like the Broncos. But I think the overall thing is the fan base is just overly pissed off that we've lost so many in a row, Matty. Do you know what I mean? But they're not thinking, and I get that, but some of them aren't thinking about the personnel who we have on the field, and that has to be each and every season. You can't say the last 6 seasons are exactly the same, amount of weight on their shoulders. Where Tomlin's thinking, okay, I got us here, then yes, I stuffed up, but I try to get you guys there as best I can with the people we had. That's what I'm trying to make. You know what I'm saying?
Listen to this. These are the free agent quarterbacks this season. Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Jacoby Brissett, Marcus Mariota, Jarrett Stidham, Andy Dalton, Drew Lock, Justin Fields, Joe Flacco, Jameis Winston, Mac Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo, Case Keenum, Mason Rudolph, Taylor Heineke, Easton Stick, Carson Wentz, Joshua Dobbs, Nick Mullins, and then you get down to like Kyle Allen, Russell Wilson, Teddy Bridgewater, Tyler Huntley. Like, which one of those guys is taking the Steelers to the Super Bowl or to the playoffs?
You probably are bringing back either Fields or Wilson and building for the draft.
Maybe again. Mac Jones, maybe.
But you're probably bringing back those guys, building up the draft again.
Oh, and Daniel Jones is off contract, by the way. Just going back to what I said earlier. But which one of those guys is winning?
They're all backups. They're all second and
the draft choices are crap. So
yeah, you got run it back. I think you even said it last year that they'll had a better chance if they depending how they went this year, they have a better chance with next year by building it up by both sides.
Correct.
But obviously now with the people leaving or whatnot, or how it didn't work, they didn't play Troy Faitano or Rome Wilson. But same time with Omar Khan point, there are 3 picks that didn't play: Ryan Watts, Wilson, and Troy Faitano. So it's almost, I think you did say that in one of the last podcasts. You were like, it's not just this year; it's this year plus next year together.
Correct.
It's like all together. Then 2026, we might be able to do something.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah, and I'll give you this. This is how dire the situation is, and why I say you got to build through the draft. If you look at guys that are off contract in 2026, because you think they're guys that you might be able to trade for cheap, right? These are the names: Aaron Rodgers, Geno Smith.
Oh, maybe,
but 36, right? In 2026, Gardner Minshew, Tyrod Taylor, Davis Mills, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky.
Davis Mills is the 3rd, though.
Malik Willis.
As a backup.
Yeah, Will Greer, Mike White, Ben DiNucci, Sam Howell, Jaron Hall,
we have a
Jake
quarterback
Browning.
problem in the league. Do we have like 4 good ones and the rest of fucking shit? What's happening? These guys are just like backups.
But all the good guys that are coming through in the draft.
Okay. Well, Matty, we did a half an hour show for 55 minutes. So
sorry about that.
We'll end it shortly. Yeah, that's been fun, dude. There's a lot.
Sorry,
there's
lots
a lot
of opinions.
Yeah, we could make them all into individual videos, but no, I think right now, I think the frustration is everybody wants that win. We want that playoff win. We want this, but in reality, maybe this team just isn't ready to be a playoff team. Maybe they're just good enough to win 10 games, 11 games, and maybe they can't.
So is they're bowing out in the playoffs? Are we just happy that we get to the Steelers and maybe by luck of the draw something fun will happen and who knows, they may catch Genie in the bottle? Or is it fire Tomlin and screw the franchise?
Yeah, I think the Roonies are like, look, we signed Tomlin to a 3-year contract. Let's try and figure it out next 3 years and get prepped for the next coach. That's probably what they're thinking. You know, I don't think they wanted. I don't the Rooney. As you're a businessman, you own that to franchise. If you put yourself in his shoes, would you go and fire Tomlin? No. You don't do that. Like, you've got into a contract, try and figure it out.
Think about it like this too, right? The Green Bay Packers just got kicked in the ass by the Philadelphia.
Yeah, they did. Big time,
right.
Yep.
I'm a big Jordan Love fan. I actually think Jordan Love is a really good quarterback. I wanted the Steelers to grab him. I said it to you on a podcast before they signed that deal and he had that 1 year, the last Rodgers year. I said, Steelers should go grab him, learn off Ben for a year, and then he should be the guy. He's got an arm and he can move his legs.
Mm-hmm.
If they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs next year, because that could happen, just like it did this year, just like it did. I think they scraped through last year as well. What if he was available with a trade and the Steelers had a better draft pick and the Steelers?
That'd be interesting because he's been a quarterback number 1 for 2 years.
Correct, but he's cheap. The thing about his deal is he's pretty cheap for a quarterback, like a top 10 quarterback in the league when he on his day.
Yeah, Green Bay wants to move on from him. It's not working out. Maybe that might.
And you've got a cheap O-line. Remember the O-line I've just told you, particularly if you draft a tackle to play right or left this year. So then you can spend all your money on your wide receivers and a good running back and like go your hardest. Like that is the one good thing that I don't think anyone's talking about the Steelers right now is that the O-line is young and the players that played well this year were all the young guys. It wasn't like Sam Arlo's instance or Dan Moore's instance, and Broderick Jones was like, probably the third worst if you like on that list. Frazier played well. McCormick played well. We know Fatani will be decent. Broderick can get it right, just pick a tackle spot and get him developing there because I think he thought he'd be playing.
Well, a lot of people are going after him, and then that could be the next Kevin Dotson thing where they went after him, they got rid of him, and then he went well.
But my point being is that's a very cheap O-line. So you can spend money on a quarterback, or if a free agent quarterback becomes available, you might be able to spend money on a really
and you still have Mike Tomlin and
you still have Mike Tomlin in there. Right?
The defense would hopefully come back together.
We can't have after this season coming because they're still meant to be the top paid off defense. I think I don't want to ever see the Steelers as the top paid defense in the league.
Yeah, that's been a bit of a troubling thing as well.
That's been painful. That's why you don't have a proper wide receiver 1. That's why you don't have a proper wide receiver number 2. And I say that because Pickens tries to be a 1, but he's really a 2. But even if he's a 1, then who's your 2, right? And I kept hearing all season, they don't need to sign Juju. Like Juju's too slow. Juju's this. He's had a pretty decent year, all in all.
I just didn't think they were going to sign him back with. And obviously, it might have been a mistake too, getting rid of Deontay Johnson in this offense as well. But
Deontay Johnson's done jack all anywhere else.
Well, he kept going. He's playing bloody mate. He's jumping around. He's all over the shop. He's in different.
They have to draft either a cornerback or a wide receiver. I mean, I think they need to go BPA. I think the roster's crap enough. They've got to go BPA. But
yeah, it feels like it's a bit wide open, right?
But I think if you probably got to fix your tackle. You need another tackle, unless the quarterback drops and you can go up and get one. You need to fix your tackle spot on one of them, and then the next guy you pick is a cornerback or a wide receiver. Someone's going to make those rooms better. And to be honest, I'm picking the wide receiver because they've just got to score some. How many years have I been saying this? You've got to score 30+ points to make it in the playoffs.
That was what Dale Wally and Matt Williams talking about. They need to go and get like a playmaker. They need some points. They need some TDs. They need some catch the ball. You don't need that fourth receiver who can be the depth. You need like a playmaker, like a
totally.
Jefferson or someone like that, or
because between Mike Tomlin and even Terrell Austin, they should be able to hold a team to 25 points. If the Steelers could have scored 25 points this season, I think they would have won 4 more games or something. If you look at all the scores,
and at some stage they were doing that, and it all fell apart because they versed the really hard teams. But yeah, you're right. If you have
it's so one-dimensional with Russ to Pickens most of the time, and the problem is that they went on that run and then they put all this stuff on film.
Correct.
So when they versed the top 3 teams, the top 3 of the best 5 to 6 teams in the league in 11 days, they got crushed because we knew what they were going to do, and Pickens wasn't there.
Yeah. And they couldn't really change different schematic and get out of it, right? They're kind of stuck in their own ways to the end of the season,
This is the thing, like people, I hear, I'll shut up in a sec, but the way I see it is there's some people on the fire Tomlin train. But I'm like, did you really think they were going to go to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl? Like,
no, I didn't think so this year. No, maybe not even next year, but you always hope, but you don't think so.
Of course. I mean, I even said to my wife, I'm like, do I need to tap into my Super Bowl fund? This wouldn't be the good year to do it, right?
It's getting bigger and bigger, mate.
I mean, that needs to.
That Super Bowl fund's getting you VIP tickets. You'll be on the 50-yard line.
You'll be coming with me, mate. You'll
be shouting everyone coming over in a minute. How much are you putting money in every year? Every single year, put a couple of $1,000s in. By 2040, there'll be a chance soon. But yeah, Matty, let's call it, bro.
Sorry, bro.
That was a great show. But pretty much we just talked about. There's so many more issues and things happening and personnel wise and schemes and whatnot, just more than this, and there's not even much of it. There are more problems with the Steelers right now than just firing Mike Tomlin, something like that. So there are a lot happening, and we just had that discussion. That's really easy to do. If you guys want to make your own podcast, grab a camera, microphone, do it all together, because that shows me that there is so much more happening than just firing a coach. And if you were to fire the coach, then what? You still got the problems and a new coach. And then if that coach loses 3 games in a row, the Yinzers will take him to town.
I'll give an Aussie story, right? When I was growing up, my granddad had a property, right, in the country, for all the Aussies out there in the Hunter region, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the kangaroos used to eat, the fruit off his fruit trees and eat his wine grapes all the time. And I used to say to him, and he used to get an air rifle out and shoot him with the air rifle, so they went away. And I used to say to him, well, you've got guns, why don't you just shoot them? And he said, because if I shoot them, I've got to clean them up, and I don't have to clean up the dead roo.
Fair point.
So you shoot Tomlin, do you really want to clean up that mess?
That's a very fair point. That's a great analogy. Would you rather than eat your apples and they run away for a bit or whatever? But if you shoot them, then you got to put them in the bin.
Because you'll still get some produce, right? But you've still got to clean up the mess.
We should put that at the very start because it's a great analogy.
There you go.
All right, Matty, let's call it. Thank you, Matty, for coming on Steelers. Steelers Nation, Australia, whatever, mate. It was a great conversation. I'm sitting here for a very long time. Have you seen my ray gun dance yet?
Yeah, I have. I love it.
All right, we're going to end on that anyway. So, see you, mate.